Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So if you are someone that struggles with an open club face and maybe wondering why you can't quite fix that over-the-top swing, then I'm here to share two of the most influential movements that you can start to apply to help you make it easier to get from the inside and to square up the club face. So when anyone comes in to see me and they talk about an open club face and swinging over the top, and that creates that big slice, they all have a lot of things in common, but the most influential has to do with what they're doing in their wrists. Okay, so anyone that goes up to the top of the backswing and comes down, I always see that number one, the club face, you can kind of see that it's twisted more so up towards the sky, and the number two, they always have the club head thrown kind of outside or ahead of their hands. Okay, so they're always having both those issues happen at the same time. A lot of the good ball strikers, or most of good ball strikers, when they come down, it's kind of more so in the opposite position, right? You will always see that by the time they get to about club parallel, their club head is always either in line with their hands or maybe even slightly behind their hands, okay? And the number two is that you'll never see a good ball striker have their club face pointing up towards the sky. It'll either point directly to the side, maybe even just slightly downwards, all right? So they're pretty much in the opposite position to most players that really slice the golf ball severely. So whenever someone gets the club face pointing up towards the sky, you can see that my lead wrist kind of extends, okay, or gets more cupped, okay? And the same thing goes if I get the club head to get in front of my hands, that'll also cause my lead wrist to be more extended or cupped. So to get in the opposite position, you'll have to learn the two movements that will influence how that lead wrist becomes more flexed. So everybody knows if I tell them about a lead wrist flex, they just think of this, okay, bowing that lead wrist. And yes, that's a general way to think about it, but essentially, if I were to face you guys, okay, and I were to just extend the club out in front, if we're trying to get the club head behind our hands or get the lead wrist more flexed, okay, you can just kind of make sure that the club head is to the right of your hands like this. You're just moving the shaft of the club to the right, okay, and you'll notice without twisting the grip or anything like this, if I move that club head to the right of my hands, if I'm a right-handed player, you'll notice in your lead wrist that it will become more flexed as you do that, okay? So that's one way that your lead wrist will become more flexed. Now, the second way is to get the grip to be twisted, okay? You'll see that when you twist the grip, your lead wrist to the left, you'll see that not only does the club face close, but your lead wrist will also go into more of a flexed position as you do it more. We want to apply both, okay? We want to make sure that the club head is to the right of our hands and is not pointing up to the sky, the club face, okay? So we want to make sure that, one, the club head is to the right of our hands and that it's twisted enough closed so that the club face is kind of pointing more directly to the side. We don't ever want that club face pointing up towards the sky. It's either pointing, kind of directly to the side or maybe even a little bit downwards is okay, just a little bit. We don't want it like this either, okay? So if you just understand that it's these two motions applied together, that's gonna allow you to flex the lead wrist more correctly. Then when you go up into the top of your backswing, when you come into your downswing, up to the point where the club shaft is parallel, you can kind of look for those two things, okay? So number one, we want to make sure that the club head is a little bit behind our hands. It doesn't have to be really, really far behind our hands, okay? It just needs to be a little bit behind our hands. And then we need to make sure that the club face isn't pointing up towards the sky. So what we do is we just twist the grip to the point where the club face is directly to the side, or maybe even a little bit down. Just a little bit down is okay. That'll kind of put you in the position that you need, ideally, kind of in your downswing. Again, when you go up to the top and you come down and you get yourself in that position, you should notice that the lead wrist is a lot more flexed in comparison to someone who's kind of out here and the face is twisted up. Okay, you'll really see that the knuckles are kind of pointing a lot more up to the sky when you're doing that. So a very simple exercise that you can do to help build awareness of applying these two things is I'm just gripping the club kind of halfway down on the shaft. Okay, so that's just giving me a visual extension kind of at the end. Okay, so when I grip down here, now when I go into my setup posture, now when you preset it at this position, okay, kind of club parallel, remember we're looking for the club head to be visually more to the right of my hands or behind my hands as a right-handed player, and we can kind of see where the club face is pointed. We want it directly pointing to the side or maybe even a little bit down. Okay, so you're going to twist the grip a little bit down or more downwards. If it's kind of pointing to the sky, you want it to twist it and ensure that it's behind the hands. The funny thing is when the club is more behind your hands, you'll notice that the extended side points more out in front of you this way. Okay, so you can use that as kind of a visual guide. So when you make a small backswing, you just turn your chest a little bit, okay, not much. When you come in, you want to feel like that extended side doesn't point more into the target or left of the target line. You want to make sure that that extended side kind of points a little bit more out to the right. So what that's going to essentially do is that it's going to force you to keep the club head behind your hands in order for you to do that. You can see that the extended side points a little bit more out that way, okay? And you're going to make sure that you can maintain that club face feeling like it's twisted more down than normal, okay? Kind of at the same time. So you're going to preset it right here. You're going to make sure it's behind your hands, it's twisted a little bit more downwards. Then you're going to make a small backswing, turn your chest, and then when you go back to that same position, you're trying to keep that extended side pointing more out towards the right. So I'm just doing this very small, but if you would like, you can also make a bigger backswing and then just make sure that the extended side, it feels like you're jamming that extended side more out to the right. And that's kind of where you want to feel your wrists are, kind of at this position, okay? This is more of an awareness drill to help you guys kind of get an understanding of what it should feel like. So behind, twisted down, okay? Then I'm turning my chest and I'm jamming that extended side out to the right. Now, when you do this drill, you don't want to see that the club face has pointed more up at this point. So you don't want to adjust it to be more open as you do it. So once you preset everything, you turn your chest, you jam it. I don't want to see that the club face is pointing more up again. I want you to maintain the club face either pointing to the side or maybe a little bit down while jamming that extended side to the right. So when you're here, you turn, you jam it out to the right and you look, club face is still kind of pointing to the side, so you've maintained your flex at this point. So a very simple awareness drill that you guys can do to apply these two movements. Now, next I'm going to share a really great way to practice this as well. And something that I've been using personally, but I'm going to use the Hack Motion device. They have a really great drill that you can actually use that'll show you how your wrists are moving as you're rehearsing these things. Okay, so I've got my Hack Motion on. I've opened the app here, and I've actually opened the application where you can do this drill to actually work on adding flex kind of from the top of the backswing into the downswing, and it's called the motorcycle drill. And I think this is really, really great. The reason I actually like to use it is because I kind of know what my wrists are actually doing, okay, in reality, versus just relying totally on feel, because sometimes when you feel things, you might feel like you're doing it, but you're not actually doing it in reality. So it's good to have this extra form of feedback with me. So, like I was saying before, you can use this while doing that drill I applied. Okay, you can grip it halfway down. Now, you can kind of see the numbers in the top right corner here, but I'm just going to explain the drill with those numbers just to show how my wrist is kind of extending or flexing. So. Again, club head behind, club face is twisted down. Now I make a backswing and I'm jamming that extended side out to the right feeling. That's kind of where I want to try to feel like I'm ending up. Now, when you try to apply it yourself and you feel like you're doing it, you may not still be ending up in that position. So that's why when you use the hack motion here, you can see on the app, it's telling me to get in my address position. Now, once I'm set up with my grip and everything, now it's telling me to go to the top of the backswing. And you can see that there's a range that my wrist can get into, okay? So it's telling me to get into that green range. Now I'm continuing my downswing. Now, in order for me to keep the wrists in that range, I kind of have to feel like my wrists get into more and more flex, okay? And then you can kind of see that I'm still looking for those things that I was doing in the drill, okay? So I'm looking for the club head to be a little bit behind my hands, okay? And I'm looking for that club face to not be pointing up. You can kind of see as I point the club face up, I'm extending my wrist more, so it kind of moves out of that range. So when I add more flex, right, it shows me that I'm in this good range, and I've also seen that the club head is a bit more behind my hands, okay? So it's kind of forced me to rehearse it very, very slowly, okay? So if I try again, so when I go up to the top of the backswing, when I come down, I'm feeling like my wrist gets a little bit more and more into flex really gradually, okay? And I get into here. Now I can kind of see my club head behind my hands. I'm in that range with my lead wrist flex. Then I can kind of practice going through it, okay? So it tells me if I'm in range kind of at the top as I'm slowly coming down as I go through. So it really gives me a good sense of how to do things or how to feel my lead wrist flex more and more, okay? So I'm staying within that range. So you see if I overflex it, I get out of that range. If I don't flex it enough, I'm out of that range. So it really tells me, it gives me a summary each time. So I get to the top, I come down, right? Club head's behind my hands. I'm still in that range, okay? And then I can kind of go through. Okay, again. Really kind of get it behind me here. Okay, so if you just rehearse this kind of over and over, you can see my wrist getting into more flex. It's tough. I'm feeling it happen very gradually for me, okay? So if you were someone that was really extended, it might feel like you're really having to flex it a lot coming down, okay? But even when you have this form of feedback yourself, you can still use those ideas that I just explained early in the video, making sure that the club head's behind your hands and also the club face isn't pointing to the sky, okay? Those are two really important concepts that are really gonna help you get more from the inside and make it easier to square the face. So using this tool, it's really gonna enhance your practice and make sure that you're actually using the time kind of efficiently. You're not really wasting your time, or you're just making the best use of your practice. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. And if you guys want to send in your swings to me, you can visit my profile on the Skillest app. I will also leave the link in the description box. And I'll see you guys on the next one.